Since the Fed stopped raising rates, why did they raise rates, right? Well, they raised rates because they created inflation. It was man-made. Why was inflation created? I mean, look, justifiably so. Pandemic showed up. They printed $7 trillion and pumped it into the economy. Well, simple definition of inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. And 7 trillion is a lot of dollars. So, I feel bad for Mr. Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, because he's kind of stuck in a box now, and the Federal Reserve as well. They just put themselves in a box. I'm hoping that nothing breaks at the end of this. Markets says everything is fine. Today we're rallying strongly. But the bond market is not listening to the Fed. Whatever Fed is trying to sell, bond market's going like, nope, we're not listening. And I've done a lot of content about that, so please go check them out. They're on the channel. There is a problem in this country. The problem is we have a broken fiscal policy. Okay, it's broken. Without a question, it's broken. And to follow that, we make sometimes things worse with a broken monetary policy. Unfortunately, though, from what I believe is monetary policy follows fiscal policy, right? Fiscal policy is so far created $36.2 trillion in national debt because we print and we spend the money we don't have. If I ran my household the same way, I would be bankrupt 10 times over because I don't have a printing machine that I can make up the deficits. I just don't, right? That's not how budgets are run. Well, the U.S. government does it. We love spending money we don't have. And what does the Fed have to do? The Fed has to issue bonds, notes, T-bills. They jacked up the rates. Now just the interest only on that 36 trillion to be 37 trillion in about 74 days. I'm keeping count. Because every 100 days, our debt goes up by $1 trillion. Talk about broken, okay? That's money that's never going to get paid back. Never. But we can't keep borrowing from the future generations. That's what we're doing. There was a tweet actually that I saw that every unborn child in this country is coming, is born with $120,000 worth of debt. Every single man, woman, child has $120,000 in debt. That's because of the 36 trillion national debt, and the deficits are, as far as the eye can see, $2 trillion a year. But now to add to those deficits, the interest cost on those deficits is skyrocketing. It's $1.2 trillion, just the interest cost. Actually, the interest cost on our debt, the IOUs that we put out, is more than Social Security, is more than defense. Think about it, people. Why do we need to pay that much interest? Well, that's because you have $36 trillion in debt. So, as I said, like previously, Fed has put themselves in a box. Fed says, we killed inflation, we raised the rates, we're doing fine. Inflation is going to our target of 2% with full employment. Bond market, from the day they started easing rates, cutting the Fed funds rate, bond market goes, no, we're not buying any of that. And what did the bond market do, or is doing? Bond market is raising rates. Now, I've just put out a video called Fed has lost control of the bond market. Without a question, they have. I mean, Fed's powerful, but they're not powerful enough to dictate to the bond market. And we all have to watch that. And the 10-year note, from the day they have they have started cutting Fed funds rate, the Federal Reserve has started cutting them. We had 3 cuts. The first one was 50 basis points. Second one was 25 basis points. And we just had one a couple of weeks ago, another 25 basis points. Well, since the Fed has started cutting rates, total of 100 basis points, the 10-year note has gone up in yield by 100 basis points. Completely diametrically the opposite of what the Fed is trying to do. Why is the Fed cutting rates? They see trouble ahead. They see economy slowing down. Plus, they want to bring down the interest cost on this 36 trillion in debt. Who needs lower interest rate more than, the Fed? We do as a consumer, obviously, but it doesn't reflect on us because the bond market raised the rates by 100 basis points while the Fed is, attempting to lower rates, and mortgage rates are back up to, on a 30-year fix, we're back up to 7%. Home affordability is in the toilet. So bond market is not buying it. What bond market is seeing is that bond market is seeing inflation coming back. And I'm going to talk about inflation, going back to the 70s on the next couple of segments. Bond market is not seeing anything that the Fed is looking at. Bond markets reading right through it and saying, well, inflation is coming back with a vengeance. We need to raise the rates. Plus, all the new buyers of this debt that we have to issue, replacing the matured debt that we have by the trillions, they're going to require better returns. There's no ifs, there's no buts. And that's what the bond market is doing. So Fed has definitely put themselves in a box. Mr. Powell can all say, oh, I don't see stag or inflation. I talked about that about a month ago, stagflation. I hope it doesn't happen because there is no cure for that thing. Stagflation is stagnant economy with high inflation. Okay, we really don't want that. So the stock market is not looking at the bond market yet, although it started kind of paying attention to it, or the deficits, or the debt. Stock market's just, I'm going to give you guys my prediction for the stock market. Nobody's going to be right on that, but then I'm going to take a chance and give it a crack. Okay. So I am, this situation is definitely noteworthy. Is inflation going to come back? Are we going to, see stagflation? I don't know, but I think 2025 is going to be a lot more of a volatile year than 2024. That's what I believe.